Okay, here is my Rambler with a 48 volt mod. There is one other video online that I saw talking about a 48 volt mod. The guy riding around on a golf cart, but he doesn't actually show what's going on. Here's what I've learned. The Rambler stock electronics seem to handle the 48 volt fine. On big hills, this hub motor will get hot, but if you're just riding mid throttle or whatnot, it does just fine. Even at high throttle, it does fine. Just I wouldn't do it on big hills. With this 14 amp hour, I'm using a Calcom battery that's normally used on like a crazy cart. 14 amp hour, I'm getting 20 to 25 miles if I ride conservatively, probably around the 20-ish if I just ride flat out most of it. There's a couple mods you can do here. Right now I have a collapsible fishing pole up here. This isn't a mod, but it's just fun to have for when I'm riding around on our river path. So got a collapsible fishing pole in there. But as far as the mods go, I added a key and voltmeter because I did not want to use this for the voltage meter. This tells me what my actual voltage is. So how I wired this up is I sent it down and I used the wires that used to be attached to the switch, and they come down now to here. So these are the old switch wires, and here's the wiring pinout that I used, just so you can see it. This is available on Amazon. There's a lot of variants of them. They're all 3-pin and they will work to your stock switch, so no need to swap that out. The stock controller works just fine for what we got going on here. Everything has been running fine. I probably have literally 400 to 500 miles on this thing as is, and it's still running great. Everything's working amazing. When it comes to fitting the battery in here, so I can't really show it right now because I have it together. Maybe if I can get underneath here, I can show you. But right here on this back edge, and then on the sides right here, there were tabs to hold the old lead acid batteries. They interfered with mounting the battery. This is probably not the best battery mounting setup. It sits mostly on this plate here, and then on this back piece of the plastic where the screw comes through here. Let's see if I can get a picture there. So it is supported. I have a piece of dual lock underneath it to hold the battery in place, and then I did battery strap it there just so then it doesn't move. But it is working great. I'm not seeing any signs of damage on the battery or anything wild like that. I do keep this on pretty level roads, on a river path. It does have some bumps, and there are like sidewalk bumps and whatnot, but this has been doing just fine. I take the battery power charge and I just popped it through where the old charger used to be, and that works fine. On the controller side, I did have to add a DIN connector. I hate DINs, but that's what the battery came with. That's what I'm going to use for now. Like an anti-spark XT90 or XT60 is just generally going to be a better choice for this stuff. I do have some extra things that I do have coming. So things to consider and discuss for this build. I have a lot of space underneath here, underneath the battery, that I can fit lots of stuff. I have a 12-volt buck regulator that I may add more powerful lights to this. I do have like night lights from Amazon that I can get on here. I just don't know if I really want to change the stock look of the bike, because I do like how this bike looks. Just has a vibe to it. I am, however, going to be adding, what's it called? I'm going to be adding a 5-volt dual USB port that I got to figure out where I'm going to put the USB ports. Probably, I might be able to fit them back here somewhere. And the reason for that is I have a saddlebag on this side too as well, that I have just off the frame. I run these LEDs off a power bank, and I also tend to charge my phone off that power bank, and it gets annoying to recharge all the time. So my plan is to add that 5-volt converter to the 2 USB ports onto this battery box, so I can run that off there, and I can charge my phone off the bike as well. So just right off this battery. I don't know if that's what I'm going to keep doing. It is just kind of something I'm playing with. but that is part of what I'm going to add to this. So with the Sur-On throttle, which is the last thing I'm going to be adding, it's a full twist throttle. It does have a different plug, but it is 3-pin, and from everything I've read, it is able to be used on, it's the same type of setup as this. I will have to repin it, and I do have the connectors and crimpers to do that. This one uses a 6-pin, but just like the Crazy Cart, you're only just going to use the top 3, and that'll be your throttle output. So that's everything that I have on here. There is still room for improvement. Like I said, this is not probably my favorite battery mounting option, but it is solid in there. This thing does not move when it's all tightened down, so it might be how it stays. But just for everybody else who's wondering, who has a Rambler 16, I don't know about the 12 or the 20, but for the 16 specifically, you can put the 48-volt battery in there. It will run. There's very little mod you have to do other than cutting those bracket pieces right here that hold the old battery. And honestly, if you didn't want to use that battery setup, you could fit it in there another way. I did have to, because of this, the movement, I had to rotate the controller by 90 degrees. So it sits there instead with the plugs coming out front. And it is a little bit of a pain to get all the wires in there on the front. I might have to adjust that. I'm just using the stock mounting holes to do that. It used to be tilted the other way. But yeah, that's the whole thing. You don't need to change out the controller if you're going to stay on 48 volt. You don't need to change out the motor, anything else. I'm not going to be modding this any further. It goes about 20 miles an hour, full out, up to 23 if you let it really build up. And it is silent still. And if I want more speed and more power or whatnot, I am going to be building probably an MX 500 or 650, same thing, to get that more speed and more power. This is just a cruiser, but for a cruiser on 48 volts, no modification really other than adding that plug on there and moving things around, I get 20 to 25 miles, and I ride around about every day. And as you can see, everything's working still great. The brakes are still awesome on this thing. It's an easy upgrade, 150 bucks, more than double your range, definitely worth it. Battery, or the key voltage meter, is like 10 bucks on Amazon or like 3 bucks on Alibaba, same thing. And then if you do switch out this throttle, if you want to keep the light switch, you're going to have to add a new light switch, so that is one thing you'll need to consider. Lastly, what was the last thing? Oh, this key. So when it's on, it works great. I left this on one time while it was charging, and it caused the wires on here. Actually, I have it right over here. One second. It caused the wires on the plug to like melt almost. It was very hot. Let's see if we can see this. You gotta see it. So that is not ideal, and it made it so I couldn't turn the bike off until I redid that, or unplugged it, or redid that connection here, which is coming from the old leads. If there's a better way to do this on the stock controller, I'm all ears. I love suggestions. I'd love to learn more. I didn't really want to screw with it anymore. I repinned this and put a new connector on it, and it's working just fine. It's working great. I would not leave that key on while you're charging. That is a genuine mistake, and I would not do that again. So there you go. If you have any questions, or you have anything that you're like, you could do this better, let me know in the comments. Totally open for it. Real quick, let me just show how cool this fishing pole is in here. It goes up to 6 feet long, so it just collapses, fits underneath there. I put some tackle in there, and then strap it in there, and it stays in there great. Oh yeah, and then just to show it, I guess, let me move this carefully. So here is my saddlebag I have on here. I put it underneath the seat and underneath the front of the seat, and it does not move. Fits on here great, sits off the side, doesn't really get in the way. I tend to fit water bottles in this pouch right here, and that is how I ride to most of my little fishing trips around town.